Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajjana Ranjana Yashodana Yamunatira Vanachariyam. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajjana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanacharya. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Madan Mohan, Radhe Jaya Radha. Jaya Sita Ram, Jaya Lakshmana Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram, Jaya Lakshmana Hanuman. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Gantra Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nārayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiriyet Shavtam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shamana Kirtanaha Hridayantastohya Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhasatam Nashta Praesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. So today we'll be covering Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 6th canto, chapter 15. The saints Nārada and Aṅgirā instruct King Citraketu. In the previous class, we covered Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 6th canto, chapter 14, King Citraketu's lamentation, where King Citraketu was lamenting because his son had died, right? And he is right beside his dead body, his son's dead body, lamenting. So he and the queen, Duty, both of them are lamenting, and as if they are falling unconscious again and again. And it is said that he was lamenting in such a way that he was crying with his open mouth. This is like, the very extreme level of lamentation he was experiencing. And how does he come out of that state? And this is the chapter where he gets enlightenment. He gets enlightened. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 6th canto, chapter 15, verse 1. Shri Shuka Uvacha Uchatu Mrakato Pante Patitam Mratakopamam Shokabhibhutam Rajanam Bodhayanta Saduktibihi. Shri Shuka Uvacha. Shri Shukdev Goswami said, Uchatuhu, they spoke, Mritaka, the dead body, Upante, near, Patitam, fallen, Mritaka Upamam, exactly like another dead body. Shoka Abhibhutam, very much aggrieved by lamentation. Rajanam, to the king. Bodhayanta, giving instruction. Sat Uktibhi, by instructions that are factual, not temporary. Translation by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Shri Shukdev Goswami said, while King Citraketu, overcome by lamentation, lay like a dead body at the side of the dead body of his son, the two great sages, Nārada and Aṅgirā, instructed him about spiritual consciousness as follows. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 6th canto, chapter 15, verse 2. Toyam syat tava Rajendra Bhavanyam manushochati Tvam chasya katabah shashto Pure dane matah param. Kaha, who, Ayam, this, Syat, is, Tava, to you, Raj Indra, O best of kings, Bhavan, your lordship, Yam, whom, Anushochati, laments over, Tvam, you, Cha, and Asya, to him the dead body. Katamaha, who, Shishta, in the birth, Pura, previously, Idanim, at this time, at the present, Atah Param, and hereafter, in the future. Translation by His Divine Grace S. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O King, what relationship does the dead body for which you lament have with you, and what relationship do you have with him? You may say that you are now related as father and son, but do you think this relationship existed before? Does it truly exist now? Will it continue in the future? Purport. The instruction given by Nārada and Aṅgirā Muni are the true spiritual instructions for the illusion-conditioned soul. This world is temporary, but because of our previous karma, we come here and accept bodies, creating temporary relationships in terms of society, friendship, love, nationality, and community, which are all finished at death. These temporary relationships do not exist in the past, nor will they exist in the future. Therefore, at the present moment, the so-called relationships are illusions. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatadham Vande Shri Gurum Dīnataranam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So King Citraketu is lamenting, and this story is being narrated by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj at the bank of river Ganges. And later on, this is recited by Sutta Goswami to the sages at Naimisharanya, and their spokesperson is Shaunaka Muni. So here, in this particular chapter, the very first instruction is very profound, right? So based on that, I am able to derive 4 teachings. There are many teachings here. I am just picking up 4 based on the time that we have at our hand. So the first one is, similarly, when Arjuna was lamenting, he was lamenting because of the bodily consumption of life, it is said, right? In Bhagavad Gita, in the first chapter, is where he is lamenting how is he going to fight. He is withdrawing himself from the battlefield, being a Kshatriya. He is saying, I should not offend my, teachers and elders. And he was looking from the bodily consumption of, life. And at that time, the very first instruction by Lord Krishna was very profound. So that's the first lesson. Dehi no asmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantar praptir dhiras tatra nam huyati. Just as I am embodied, a soul goes, enters a body, and the body grows from, birth to childhood to youth to old age. At the time of death, the body passes into another body. And a person who is sober is not bewildered by this change. And also it is said to be synonymous as changing of the clothes. So sometimes Srila Prabhupada, as he was discussing, he would allow others to engage in various conversation. And one of his disciples was saying that, Prabhupada, I saw such and such in the dream, is that real? And Prabhupada said that the objects we see in the dream are real, but, what happens in the dream is imaginary. So similarly, this material world, whatever happens in this material world, the objects may appear, but then it is temporary. So it is ashashvatam. So the material world has two characteristics. And what are those? Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. So it's a place of misery and it is temporary in nature. So it is just like a dream. And then Prabhupada actually, I'm paraphrasing, he extended that, he showed a bottle of oil. He said, this bottle, if I see it in my dream, it's real. The pillow I sleep in my dream is real. But if I put the bottle under the pillow and I think I'm doing this, now that is, just my foolishness. So how we act in our dreams and feeling that this is what is really happening is foolishness. And similarly here, King Citraketu, who's lamenting near the dead body of his son, and he's almost like a dead body, At that time, says Nārada and Aṅgirā Rishi, they appeared. And so this is where the second lesson is, that they are referred to as avadhutas. Avadhutas are carefree, right? Avadhuta means the one who does not care for the surroundings, the external factors. He's carefree. He's not careless. There's a big difference. There's a gulf of difference, actually, between a careless person and a carefree person. A carefree person is who is understood, what's the surrounding, and has, relieved themselves of the various bindings from the surrounding. Where a careless person is, he's just ignorant. So the biggest difference is one who is in knowledge. A carefree person is one who is in knowledge and has agreed, has understood the circumstances and is acting based on that knowledge. And a careless person is one who is not in knowledge, one who is in ignorance. And he is lamenting, means he is behaving in this manner because of his ignorance. He is not caring for his surrounding. So they may behave similarly, but there is a gulf of difference in their behavior and their mindset. So they appeared here as avadhutas. So Aṅgirā Rishi had previously visited Citraketu Maharaj, and the King Citraketu had actually understood that this is Aṅgirā Rishi, and he had served him very nicely. And because of the blessing of Aṅgirā Rishi, he was able to get a son. Right? Because when he expressed to Aṅgirā Rishi that he does not have a son, everything else is good, but that has taken away the really joy from his life. At that time, Aṅgirā Rishi performed a yajna, fire sacrifice, and offered sweet rice to Tvashta. Now, who's performing this yajna? It's actually performed on behalf of Yajman, right? So Yajman is King Citraketu. And Devan Deva Yajoyanti, we covered this particular lesson in the previous chapter, that ones who worship the demigods go to the demigods planet. And this Citraketu, King Citraketu, was later on born as Vritrasur. So that is why, this story is narrated because Parikshit Maharaj was surprised that a demon, Vritrasur, could attain the love of Godhead, which is rare, even for liberated beings. So how is it possible? And this was in response, the story of the king of Citraketu is being narrated by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. And this time, Aṅgirā Rishi and Nārada, they have appeared as carefree persons, not even in their regular dress code. So king could not immediately recognize who they are. And when they spoke to the king, that do you think that this relationship of you and your son truly exists now? Did it exist in the past, and will it exist in the future? Is revealing to him that he is lamenting because of a bodily conception of life. He is thinking that this body is all in all, and everything that's related to this body is, real. And in Nectar of Devotion we studied that this is because a person who is materialistic, who's a materialistic person? The one who is seeking sense gratification. That's the materialistic person. So there's a big difference between a Mayavadi and a materialistic person. Mayavadi is an impersonalist, right? A jnani, but then who's not devotee, who does not have devotion, who wants to merge into Brahman based on the speculative knowledge. While, again, Vedas as well, so again Vedanta Sutra and other factors, not just speculative knowledge. But it leads to speculative knowledge because they are bewildered in their attempt. While here, this knowledge, and again in the purport, as Srila Prabhupada says in the last sentence, that at the present moment, the so-called relationships are illusions. And they, Nārada and Aṅgirā, they gave the true spiritual instructions. So this is where, in the Avadhuta stage, they are revealing the true spiritual instructions. Now it's very important for us to understand who Aṅgirā Rishi is, because sometimes people look from that particular perspective as well, that, okay, this person is expert in one area, so he cannot be an expert in the other area, and that's our shortcoming in understanding a person, right? So, Aṅgirā Rishi, who is Aṅgirā Rishi? Aṅgirā Rishi is born of the mind of Lord Brahma. So he is the son of Lord Brahma. And also in the first canto, Sutta Goswami has revealed that his father, Romaharshana, was entrusted with the Purāṇas and historical instances and so forth. And he mentions Aṅgirā Rishi there. He says that Aṅgirā Rishi was entrusted with Atharva Veda. Right? Now as soon as Atharva Veda comes, the mindset is that, he was entrusted with Apara Vidya, the material knowledge, right? The knowledge that helps you understand this material world, as well as, how to come out of this material world, the various aspects of the, conditioned life, and how to, seek sense gratification and so forth. So all the knowledge that relates to this material world, and as embodied beings, we are looking to gain knowledge. The Vedas means knowledge. So that is Apara Vidya, and all the historical instances and the different scriptures and entrusted following the Vedas, they are part of Apara Vidya, which is knowledge, materially oriented knowledge or speculative knowledge. Now, they talked about Nārada and Aṅgirā Rishi talked about spiritual knowledge. Spiritual knowledge is Paravidya. So that is absolute, right? So this Bhāgavatam is part of Paravidya, spiritual knowledge. It is for our enlightenment to break our ties from this material body and engage in devotional service. And how do we start our devotional service? Simply by raising our hand and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Aṅgirā Rishi and Devashi Nārada, they have appeared, the sage Nārada. He has appeared at King Citraketu's palace, and they are giving him Paravidya, the spiritual instructions, true instructions which are factual. So this is very important, that they are enlightening King Citraketu with spiritual knowledge. Once it so happened that Srila Prabhupada, he was walking on the street with his female disciples, and as they were thinking of crossing the street on the other side, and this is in the winter time, right? All the lady disciples, they were dressed in sari and all, Vaishnavi clothes, dress code. And Srila Prabhupada was also very nicely covered with, a cap and shawl and sweater and so forth. And on the other side of the street, they saw some young ladies, American girls, they were standing with short skirts, really short dresses, not fully covering themselves. And it is cold, right? At that time it was cold. So during winter time. And the female disciples were looking at these girls and wondering like how these girls are not even properly dressed. And it's so cold outside. And Srila Prabhupada looked at them and smiled and said, see, they are also performing austerities like you are performing austerities. Their austerities for sense gratification. Your austerities for Krishna. Right? Someone is trying to perform austerity for Maya Devi, the material energy. Another one is performing, the devotees are performing austerity for Krishna to satisfy and please Lord Krishna. So yes, there are different types of austerities, and sometimes in ignorance, people perform, austerities, and that is carelessness. And devotees, sometimes people know, all they are doing is, in Sankirtan, we go out and we chant and dance out there, and they're like, these people are just carefree. Exactly, avdutas. That's how devotees appear, just like, Devshri Nārada and Aṅgirā appear in front of King Citraketu. And he's lamenting so much, his eyes are filled with tears and so forth. He couldn't even recognize that this is Aṅgirā. And they appeared really carefree because they are asking some bold questions of him. So, the Parashakti, the spiritual knowledge, is meant for, and again it is said in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam itself, 12th canto, 13th chapter, that this knowledge is meant for liberated beings. One who is liberated, so this is the third lesson from this third teaching is, the one who is liberated from the conceptions of Annamay, Pranamay, Manomay, Vijnanmay and Anandmay, and is perfectly aware of the subtle coverings is Panchashikha. So there was a sage whose name was also Panchashikha, and his name appears when Parikshit Maharaj, he hears these instructions from Devashi Nārada and Aṅgirā, and he immediately is able to recollect himself, he is able to compose himself, and he asks that who are you, two personalities? Because Vaishnavas, the Brahmanas who have gone to the level of Vaishnavas, elevated to the level of Vaishnavas, they wander, and they're great personalities that wander all around the earth. And he names, he gives some names. And he does name Devashi Nārada, Aṅgirā, the Chaturkumaras, Sanaka and so forth. And even Patanjali's name is there. So many personalities, they wander all around earth. And he also names some of the incarnations of Lord, like Rishabdev and so forth. They wander around the earth to enlighten others, right? So this is a characteristic of a Vaishnava, par dukkha dukhi. Vaishnavas are, they feel distress looking at another person's distress. That's not adibhotic, right? It's not mental misery. It's, it's sadness because we see so many other people suffering. Shri Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai. Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anant Kore Vaishnavind ki jai. Nitai Go Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. So here, there are 5 stages in life have been described. Annamaya is food consciousness. So, that is part of survival. How do I survive? I need food to survive, to maintain this body, to sustain this body. So sometimes the living entities, like the ones in water and so forth, they are just seeking, the animal beings, they are just seeking Annamaya, right? They are just collecting. And then Pranamaya is where they are saying, how do I protect myself? Safety. That's the next aspect. So sometimes you see living entities, they have been given some features to protect themselves, like claws and teeth and so forth. Again, in the animal kingdom, you can see so many of them. And sometimes in plants as well, they have thorns, right? So thorns they are using thorns to protect themselves. Pranamaya. And then comes Manomaya, which is speculation. I think this is this, so it must be this. I say this is this, that is, Vijnanmaya. So again, So Manomaya is filled with speculative knowledge. As we see, in physics, sometimes people are saying such and such is the observation, so this must be the case. Experimentation is based on observation, identifying the results, and then coming to conclusions. But in today's world, I think the PhD is pull him down, so pull her down. That particular mindset is really drawing things away. There was a study done by the Harvard and other universities to seek what is the characteristics of top performing students. So they decided that they will pick up some statistics and then reveal and base their study on it. So one of the things they said is okay, these PhD students who are really brilliant, we are going to, get them to the class, and as a surprise, we will ask them to, take off their socks, and we'll see whose socks are clean, right? Because an expectation is one who is very much studious, who is keeping very much discipline in life, to become a scholar would of course be very nicely clean and dressed properly. And persons who are not so clean would be very shabbily dressed, and not so intelligent would be shabbily dressed and would not be so clean. So again, they got these students in the classroom and suddenly they asked, why don't you take off your socks? And they did the study. Now one of the things they found was that the results were just opposite to what they had expected. The worst socks belonged to the students who were the best students. And the neat and clean socks belong to the students who were not so good with studies. So they said, now this is how they draw the conclusion, right? In the conclusion of the study, they said that these PhD students, these highly qualified, scholars, are so busy in their life that they don't even have time to wash their socks. You see how this world is made of cheater and the cheated? So instead of identifying good aspects, they are just twisting the study in their favor, somehow or other, to prove that how they are right. So that's how they're coming. Well, when you base your, studying Para Vidya, which is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, then you are not involved in all these material aspects. You are really trying to, cut off your bondage in this material world and go back home, back to Godhead. But then somebody can say, wait a minute, if you are cutting off your bondage from this material world, your attachment, your affection, then that is very cruel aspect. Then how can Vaishnavas be par dukkha dukhi? Well, because Vaishnavas are seeing everyone with equal vision, right? So they see that everyone is a living entity. And a living entity by constitution is an eternal servant of the God. Jivera surupaya krishnera nitya das. So, and these living entity is trying to lord over the material energy, seeking happiness, right? And after all that hard labor, they get frustrated, these living entities, and they come to the level of the fourth level, which is Vijnanmaya, where they are seeking that, okay, they understand that we are the soul, not the body. We are spiritual beings having material experience. So why have material experience? Rather better it is to have spiritual experience by engaging in devotional service, right? Why have material experience when we are spiritual beings? Let's have spiritual experience. So that's what they are trying to enlighten the living entities, and are sad to see these living entities engage in this material world suffering. And at the end, means again the fifth one is Anandamaya. Living entities, Anandamayo Abhyasat, is always seeking happiness, because that's the very nature of living entity. That's also the nature of Krishna, because Krishna and the living entities are same in quality but different in quantity. Right? Satchidanand. Sat is eternal, Chet is full of knowledge, and Anand is full of bliss. So those are the three characteristics of a living entity, and also Lord Krishna. And what's the difference? The quantity. Srila Prabhupada gave the example, just like you take a drop from the ocean, it has the same quality as the ocean water, right? It's salty. But ocean water is like Krishna, he is unlimited. And living entity is like the drop of water from the ocean, which is limited. So there's a big difference. And many times, living entity who's so limited tries to challenge unlimited. So some American Indians, they had this concept of challenging that will prove that there is no God. And they would normally present this question to all the spiritual teachers or people who are trying to preach that we are soul, not this body. And they would ask this question: can God create a stone that's so heavy that he cannot lift? Right? If the answer is given as no, because he can lift everything, then they would say, then he is not God because he cannot create something that he cannot lift. And if the answer comes out to be yes, then they would say, oh, if he cannot lift something, that means he is not God. That's their mental speculation. Well, they asked this question of Srila Prabhupada. And what's the answer? Srila Prabhupada gave two different answers at two different times. First answer was, yes, Krishna can create a stone so heavy that he cannot lift. But then Srila Prabhupada said, but then Lord Balaram would lift it, right? So Gauranga can create a stone so heavy that he cannot lift, but Nityananda Prabhu could lift it. Another instance, the response was, yes, Krishna can create a stone so heavy that he cannot lift at that moment. But then the next moment he will be able to lift it. Just like when we are children, we do not know how, about scriptures and study. But when somebody, teaches us, we learn how to read books, understand the various aspects of life. So similarly, in the very next moment, Krishna can expand himself and can very easily lift it. So creating stone and other aspects like that are temporary aspects. And they were challenging, but again, they were easily defeated. So it's said that different people perform austerities in different level. Just like those girls across the road were performing austerity for sense gratification, while the lady devotees, the disciples, the Vaishnavis were performing austerity for Krishna's pleasure. And that is, when you satisfy the Lord of the senses, Rishikesha, then your senses are also satisfied. And that's true Anandamaya. And when who understands and becomes aware of the subtle coverings of this material nature, these coverings in the material world is Pancha Shikha. And it's very interesting that similar instance also happened when Srila Prabhupada was traveling, and he was at Bhakti Vedanta Manor in London. And there a reporter came, and she was not properly dressed again. Her legs were really bare, very short dress. And she was asking Srila Prabhupada questions in a very challenging mode. And Srila Prabhupada, she was asking about his dress and so forth. At that time, Srila Prabhupada laughed and he said, it's better to have a cool mind than cold legs. And everybody laughed. She also joined in laughing, because sometimes people perform austerity in ignorance. And we should not perform austerity in ignorance. We should be, performing austerity for the pleasure of the Lordship. So yes, we can be carefree, but very careful in our dealings with the devotees and other living entities, yet carefree about the material aspects. And we are not careless, while an ignorant person is careless. So there is a big difference. So a devotee may perform similar activities as another materialist, but there is a big difference in the mindset. And in this material world, the fifth teaching is, as is revealed, is everyone takes themselves very seriously. Right? Everyone thinks, that they are very important and takes themselves very seriously. And one of the lessons we learn is that nobody else is taking you seriously, so you should just lighten up a little. Right? Vaishashika Prabhu, he talks about WIIFM. Everyone's radio is tuned to WIIFM. You know what WIFM is? That channel? What's in it for me? All dealings in this world is based on, if I engage in this, what's in it for me? And they forget that when you engage in devotional service, then it is for your own purification, so that you can get the ticket to the spiritual kingdom and go back home, back to Godhead. We start simply with the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, sometimes devotees also have a similar channel, WIIFM. What's in it for Madan Mohan? Right? What's in it for the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And we are seeking to serve the Lordship for His pleasure. And so we experience Anandamaya. And then further, go beyond, just not looking at Anandamaya through sense gratification, but by service. Through service, we seek pleasure. Yes, Anandamaya Abhyasat, that's one of the characteristics. And I also say that there is another channel that when we are in the material consumption of life, everyone tunes to, E2FM. Now what's E2FM? Everything exists for me. The materialists are very much looking at it that their birth in this material world is a boon to the humanity. And they are saying that everything exists for me. Srila Prabhupada very nicely explained that this earth has enough to meet the need of everyone. However, it is not enough to meet the greed of even one. Because greed is ever expanding. A greedy person is never satisfied. It's like putting oil in fire or ghee in fire, the clarified butter in fire, and hoping that the fire will die down. Does fire die down when you put ghee in clarified butter in fire? No, it doesn't. It becomes stronger and stronger. So, no matter how much is there, a greedy person can never be satisfied. While a needy person can be satisfied when his need is met. So simple medicine is to lighten up. And this chapter is on enlightening. So here, King Citraketu, when he hears the instructions of Devashi Nārada and Aṅgirā Rishi, he starts understanding it. And he says that there are great Vaishnavas who are wondering which ones of them is, who are you? You two personalities, he is asking. And at that time, Aṅgirā Rishi responds that, O king, I am the same Aṅgirā Rishi who performed the sacrifice and you are able to have this son. But since this son only had limited lifetime, he is dead now. And why are you lamenting for this son? I already told you that he will be the cause of your jubilation and lamentation. Jubilation is harsha, lamentation is shoka. And actually, when Aṅgirā Rishi had left, Citraketu had named his son Harsha Shoka, thinking that he would be the cause of his jubilation and lamentation. He did not realize that it was not the pampering that was caused lamentation, it would be the death of his son that would cause the lamentation. And now king is, at this particular point, he says to the sage, that, O sage, please, give further instructions. And they say that living entities, they come together, just like, the particles of sand, they come together because of the force of wind. And then they immediately separate themselves as well. So just because of the wish, desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and because of this material cycle, living entities, they come together, create bodily relationships, and then in time they are separated. So when we as parents look at our kids, we are thinking, oh, these kids are of us. We are the cause of these kids. And that is a conditioned understanding. The conditioned understanding is prakate kriyamanani gune karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Prakate kriyamanani. A living entity, being embodied by this, material energy, has received these senses, Gune Karbari Sovesha, and is also under the influence of the three modes of material nature, the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. Ahankara Vimudhata, and because of the false ego, this bewildered soul thinks that the soul is doing all this, it's the conditioned being is doing all this, while everything has been performed by the material energy. So the senses are part of material energy. So whatever we perform with our senses is being performed by the material energy. The living entity has the desire which have been executed by the material senses. So here, the example is given, and there is also another example that in water, in the stream, there are different straws. If they are together, the straws may come together and then they separate in water because of the waves, because of the flow of water. So that's how the relationships are. The relationships are not factual, they are temporary in nature. But the relationship between a living entity and Krishna is eternal. It's factual. Jivera Swarupaya Krishnera Nityadas. The very nature of living entity is as an eternal servant of Krishna. So we should focus on our eternal relationship and not think that these kids are of us, rather these kids are through us. We are only the media through which material energy creates and gives body to other living entities. So they are through us. And a Vaishnava is looking at all the different living entities with equal vision. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmani Gavihastini Shuni Cheva Shopakecha Pandita Samadashina. So one who is into full knowledge, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, who is in full knowledge, who understands what's what, and that we are the soul, not this body, looks at Brahmani Gavihastini, looks at a Brahmana, looks at a cow, looks at an elephant, looks at a dog and a dog eater with Samadashina, with equal vision, because they understand that every one of these living entity is a living entity. Again, embodied being is a living entity, and Lord as Paramatma resides in everyone's heart. So that's how we understand, based on the knowledge given by Shastra. And this is Lord Krishna revealing to Arjun that how one is Samadashina. And here, these sages are revealing to the king that, you should not be lamenting because of this temporary relationship. And then they gave him the true factual knowledge, which is Brahma Vidya, right? So again, and they revealed to him that these lamentations, the miseries that are caused, there are three kinds of miseries. What are the three kinds of miseries? Miseries due to mind, which is Adhyatmika, right? The miseries caused by the other living entities, Adi Bhautika. Adi Bhautika is the miseries caused by other living entities. And the miseries caused by the natural forces, by the demigods, Adi Devika. So those are the three kinds of miseries. Now I have asked my friend, do you know about the three kinds of miseries? He's like, yeah, I know that. I'm like, wow, okay, tell me. So he says, very simple, some miseries are mental. So I'm surprised by this again. I didn't expect that he would have attended so many classes. So he talks about mental, Adi and Adhyatmika. Then he says some are physical. So again from the body. So right here there is an indication he is going away. And then he says, so they are mental, they are physical, and the ones that are both are called dental. So that sometimes is an understanding. But true understanding is that there are miseries created by mind, miseries created by other living entities, and miseries created by natural disturbances, Adi Devika. So they are enlightening King Citraketu about the three kinds of miseries, about the temporary nature of this material world, and how a living entity has an eternal relationship and should be engaged. And at that point, King Citraketu, understanding the message and the instructions, he immediately says that, oh, I am just like a village animal. I am so dull in my knowledge, so please enlighten me. And that is how you approach a spiritual master. So he is setting up an example as how to approach a spiritual master. So, by the arrangement of time, one should not lament for temporary relationships, Srila Prabhupada writes in his purports. The entire cosmic manifestation is temporary, although not unreal, it is not factual. So it is temporary. And just like small particles of sense, they come together and they separate due to the force of waves, by force of time, one meets others and also parts from others. And Lord creates, maintains and destroys. And how does he do that? They revealed to the king that just like a child creates, means he is fully in control, he is creating through a father, through a father, a son is born. Through the government, administration is done and populace is maintained, the population is maintained. And just like the destruction agents, which is like snakes and others, one is killed. So those are just the three different kind of aspects. And then the relevance of a preacher, whose service is to awaken knowledge in the hearts of other living entity, is explained. That, just like a foolish animal, the king is approaching and these two sages are preaching to him and enlightening him with a knowledge which is factual, which is absolute. And His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrita Swami, he explains that one can preach all day without uttering a single word. And the message is that one can preach by one's own example. And that's the meaning of Acharya. One by his own behavior, by his own acharan, by his own practices, can preach others. And it is said that when Srila Prabhupada he would visit, just by seeing him, people would feel enlightened. Hearing him, they would experience enlightenment. And being with him, they were experiencing Vaikuntha, a place where there is no misery. And his message was simple, yet profound. Just by chanting of the holy name, we can break away the ties of this material world. Just by raising our hands and chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments? Grantra Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.